let's go to center forward. You mentioned that the U.S. actually has 2 tournaments this upcoming summer, also the Olympics. You were part of the last U.S. team to play in the Olympics back in 2008. Matt Doyle fired off some interesting posts on X this weekend, musing about which striker should go to which competition. He wants to split up Balogun and Pepi so they can both start this summer. So Pepi would go to the Olympics. Balogun would be the starter in the Copa America. You've also got Josh Sargent in this mix. You've got Duncan Maguire, Brandon Vasquez, Haji Wright even. So lay it out for me this summer. How would you separate them? What's the pecking order in each tournament? How do you see the U.S. center forward situation right now?
Yeah, so I'm going to set this up to kick it over to you after, Lex, because I think you agree with me there. And I was looking at this last night between our strikers, and I've seen everybody, not everybody, but I've seen the conversation around the number 9 pool being like, wow, this is we finally got a deep pool at number 9. Hey, no, we don't, okay? Like, Flo Balogun was kind of anointed as, like, the next guy, and I was there. I'm like, this guy is exciting, and, this is his opportunity. Big move to Monaco. Well, he hasn't started any of the last, I think, since November for Monaco. He hasn't scored in the league in his last 7 games, and this is part of the process, right, of being kind of the guy, finally, as opposed to being the guy who has talent, which I think a lot of our national team players are in this bucket right now. Kids with potential, more potential than we've seen before in the past, tons of talent, but like, can you be the guy and take that next step in your career where you're doing it consistently, you're doing it at a big club, and now you're handling the pressure and expectations, and you're still maintaining that level? Balogun is going through one of these periods as a young player. He's still so young, so I'm not just trying to say these guys are done, but he's got to start scoring goals consistently and fighting off guys that won his spot. Ricardo Pepi, great record, 7 goals, 30 games. Scored a ton of goals for the U.S. in recent appearances, all off the bench. He started 1 game, and it was as a winger. So, like, you've got to earn that starting spot at your club before I can say, like, you need to be the number 9 for the national team. Josh Sargent's scoring a ton of goals right now. 10 goals in 13 games in the championship. He's only not scored in 4 games that he started, and he missed almost 20 games with an injury on his ankle. But so he's doing well, but that's also the championship. It's not the Premier League. So we got a lot of guys that are doing okay and showing a lot of potential, but I haven't seen a guy yet that I feel confidence, and I'm tired of being and looking at this national team through the lens of mediocrity. I want this team to be excellent, and I want them to live up to their potential. So that's where I'm at. I know I'm ranting right now.
Did you answer the question?
I did, right? I mean, like, of where you lay them out?
No, but I agree with you. Before you do that, there's an inherent contradiction right now in the U.S. national team discourse. When it comes time to analyzing the talent pool and what guys are doing at clubs, people apply one standard to it, which leads them to say, wow, the U.S. is stacked at this position and look at all these great options. But then when you talk about expectations for 2026, they talk about the U.S. going far and potentially even winning the World Cup. And that makes me say, well, wait a minute. If that's the expectation, then that sort of reframes it for me. And some of these guys you were just listing as good options, I don't think are good enough on that level.
Yes.
So, I think the U.S. has to figure out right now, what is the realistic expectation for 2026, and then start analyzing players accordingly.
Yeah, so now it's to you, but Balogun to the Copa America with Josh Sargent. Josh Sargent's the most in form of any of the strikers. And then Pepi to the Olympics and have him start and have him be the guy for that team. He's probably got more experience than anybody at that position with Duncan Maguire. And I forget, is Brandon Vasquez Olympic eligible?
No.
He's not, right? So I might even take him to the Copa America as kind of your 3rd striker. You?
So, yeah, I mean, so to your point, the fact that I don't understand why, well, I understand, but I don't think it should be the case that Balogun is the incumbent, okay? In terms of what I think it's just wide open. And if anything, I'm even more sure of that now, given what Balogun has become and is right now. Inherent in going to the Olympics is that it is at a lower level, okay? Because if you are really that good, regardless of how old you are, especially given the fact that from Greg Berhalter's perspective, he needs to do everything he possibly can to have a successful Copa America. If the U.S. goes and wins a gold cup or a gold medal in the Olympics, medals in the Olympics, that's all fine and well. But relative to Greg Berhalter's job and future, as we just talked about, he needs to have his best players in the summer at Copa America. So if let's just say that they can only take 2 forwards, okay? Would you say that the pecking order right now is Balogun, Sargent, Pepi? Is that fair?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say. So of those 3, Stu, all right, you can only take 2. So 1 you are cutting. If he goes to the Olympics, fine. 1 you are having as a substitute, and the other one you're starting. Where are you putting those 3?
So if I'm doing it based on right today, I'm starting Josh Sargent. I think he's earned it. I think Flo Balogun would go. So he would be benched to be sub. And then Ricardo Pepi, I would send to the Olympics. Now, that would be a tough conversation, I'm sure, for Pepi, because once again, it would be viewed through the lens as I've been relegated and this is a second-tier type competition. He was cut late stages from the World Cup. So you have to sell it to him away and, hey, this is your opportunity to be the guy and have a breakout Olympics. And that's how you kind of show that he's not out of the mix by any means, because you're going to have a bigger roster going forward. But that's how I would do it.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.